This is the Literary License Podcast with your hosts, Vickie Rae, Jon Wilson, and Keith Chawgo. Discussing book to screen and everything in between. Coming at you from the UK and USA.
They keep it real.
So before we go into season... Oh, shit, what?
Season 2.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. I was soaring ever higher, but I flew too high, masquerading as a man with a reason. My charade is the event of the season. And if I claim to be a wise man, it surely means I don't know. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Carry on.
Hello, welcome to Literary License Podcast, and we are doing our season 2 finale. What we're going to be discussing is some of our favorite episodes of season 2, do a general rundown of season 2, and then we're going to be letting you know what's coming up for season 3, which will be starting next month in September 2019. So before we get started, let's find out who's with us. First of all, there's Jon Wilson. Say hello, Jon.
Why, hello, folks.
And Vickie Rae.
Hi, guys.
And myself, Keith Chawgo. So let's figure out what we've all been up to last time we spoke. So, Jon, what have you been up to since last time we spoke to you?
I've been enjoying the end of summer. Wah, wah. Trying to just get as much relaxation as possible. My boss is on vacation, so I was able to catch up on a lot of different things and been starting a few projects of my own, which I'm really excited about. More to come in season 3 about those. I also finished watching Pose this season, which was really, really good. It's a tearjerker.
Yesterday.
Just keep a box of Kleenex by you because I cry at every freaking single episode.
I gotta watch this. Okay, so you guys are both broke up over this. Is it a Netflix thing or?
Well, it's on Netflix season 1. Season 2 is on it's on FX. So season 2 is on FX. If you have the app, you can watch it through FX, the app. Yeah, and I've been I just started getting into, which I don't know why it's taken me so long, Dead by Daylight. So I started playing that because I haven't played any games in a while. So I was like, let me just get into this, and it scares the living bejesus out of you.
What is it?
Dead by Daylight.
How am I missing this stuff? Gosh.
It's this game that's very much like how Keith and I met through Friday the 13th. It's a very like you can play the killer or you can be the victim, if you will. And it's you can play the different types of killers, and you're trying to just get out of this like compound and trying to work together.
So it's basically a video game come to life for Feverson.
It's pretty twisted. I mean, each scenario they kind of pull in different characters. Like they pull in Michael Myers, the hometown, Haddonfield, and so you kind of play the different surroundings, and then you could play, any of these different characters where each one has different perks to where you can get around the game and try to break, fix generators to activate this door to get out, right? So you have to fix 5 of them to get out. I mean, it's intense because you're trying to do all this, but then you're also trying to save other people when they get, attacked by the
Oh, wow. Okay.
slasher.
That's
Yeah, it's intense.
What platform are you playing on? Xbox or Switch or?
Xbox.
Because Friday the 13th just come to Switch, hasn't it?
Yeah, which I'm actually surprised by that. I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily their platform. I'm kind of interested to know why. I also heard that they're going through a huge lawsuit right now, so I don't know how that's what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, it has to do with Victor Miller and not Victor Miller, the original. Yeah, Victor Miller, the original scriptwriter for the first Friday 13th, and Sean Cunningham. Sean Cunningham says that Victor Miller was a writer for hire. He came up with the idea, and Victor Miller said that it all came from his head. So they're having copyright issues over the brand name of Friday the 13th.
Which sucks because it kind of puts a pause on everything because they were going to come out with all this different content. Now they can't really do anything with it. They're being able to like fix batch updates and things like that, but for the most part, they're not able to generate anything new.
Well, the odd thing about the whole situation is that it all has to do with the character of Jason. And though Jason doesn't appear in the original Friday the 13th, only as the little boy, and that's all stemming on because he thinks that he owns the rights to Jason for how Jason's become throughout the whole series, sort of thing. So it's all quite messy, and I'm sure. I mean, it's all about money, isn't it?
Sounds like corporate greed to me.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So
that kind of sucks, though, actually, because we grew up with Jason and Halloween and all that. I guess it all comes down to money.
No, it totally does. And I think anyone wants a piece of the pie. When you get into royalties and rights and stuff, everyone, if you want to use something, you have to make sure that, you get approval on it. And I think it could either be that type of person like, great, that sounds great. Let's do this. I might make a small percentage of money, but hey, this is going to help you. And then you never know where that could take you down the road. There are others who are very protective of their royalties and rights and wanting to monopolize as much as they can.
He's probably going to try to buy my character in the next 2 years and make money off of me when I'm dead.
I guess if Victor Miller had a successful career outside of the Friday the 13th, maybe things would be different.
Yeah.
Was he the parent of the whole franchise?
No, he wrote the script. Sean Cunningham is the director and the owner of Friday the 13th, and Victor Miller was a writer for hire.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but then apparently now they're saying that most of the script had to be rewritten, and it's all that mess. So
yeah.
So are they going back into like 1980 and the script, or are they talking about new things?
No, they're talking about the original script, and
oh my God, they are not going back 40 years.
But they're talking about who owned because Jason's in all the series because the season Friday the 13th is Jason outside of the first one.
Well, right.
Mother, of course. So because Jason's in all of them, so therefore Victor Miller thinks that he should have received a cut from every single sequel, and every time Jason's mentioned, and every time Jason's shown, which also includes computer games.
So he's going after everything.
T-shirts, apps, merchandising, everything. So
I mean, you have to get into the nuances too of then who created Jason, and from that point on, and made it about him. Because if he,
for our listeners who don't know what we're talking about, who actually created Jason?
Well,
Jason, that's the
chicken and the egg.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like the first Friday the 13th was about Jason's mother, and the first movie, that's what it was about.
Right.
And as far as Jason coming out of the lake, that was an afterthought because they wanted to do a Carrie ending. They wanted that that jump scare at the end. So that's why Jason appears in. But because the money made so much money, then what happened was then Jason, of course, is born. Yeah. And then what you have is different directors and different script writers taking Jason and making him what he is.
Yeah.
But you can't, let's face it. As far as Hockey Mask Jason doesn't come out to the end of chapter 3, Friday the 13th, 3.
Yeah.
Before that, he's cowpoke Jason running around in the field in the second one.
And even that, they tried to go for that illusion in the first one where you didn't really see who the killer was. You knew it was like a male figure, but you didn't really know what it was. So they kind of tried to create that illusion of we don't know who the killer is, because I think didn't they want to make it seem like it could be potentially one of the counselors or type of thing, and then it's clear like there's a backstory.
To be honest, the first Friday the 13th, if anyone should sue them, probably should be Agatha Christie, really, because it is 10 Little Indians.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and basically that's what all slasher films are, is 10 little Indians. You know, get your cast of characters and someone's bumping them off one by one until the
Yeah,
final
they're
film.
isolated. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 10 little Indians. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, one or two things will happen. They'll either settle out of court or one of them will die, and then they'll end, and voila, we're back.
Or go on to the next person.
Precisely. So what about yourself, Vicki? What have you been up to?
Other than talking to you yesterday, not much. I went to go see a Heart concert in Jump Jet last night with our co-host Nez, whose the last name shall remain, unrequited. And other than that, just
None of us
tagging up at the end of summer. What?
Because none of us can pronounce it.
No, Nez, I won't say it, but it's
So she's just gonna be considered Nez.
she will just be considered Nez.
She's gonna be like Cher or Madonna.
Well, I know that, but actually that's her character in life, though. Really, sorry, Nez, I'm bashing you. But she's just one of those people that doesn't need a last name.
Yeah.
For one of those friends in your life or locale. So, and other than that, just hanging out with you guys on the weekends.
And myself, well, we did the Dark Shadows episode, our second episode in our series, which is going to be ongoing for the next 3 to 4 years.
I know.
That was very good. I'm actually
In the long haul.
I know, it's not like it doesn't have like a couple thousand episodes.
Yeah.
But I have something to say, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm really quite into it. And so that's quite good. And then, and I've been playing a lot of the Lego computer games.
Oh my God, you are not fucking kidding me. Oh my God.
No, because
Not
you know
you.
what? My friend's son was playing this game, and I was like, why am I not playing this? Like, I forget which one he was playing. He was playing like Lego City or something, but he was like getting really into it. And I was like, wait, what do you have to do? And where are you going? And he's like, I got to go here. And then I got to do this. And I was like,
oh my God, my grandson, I would have never thought it in a million years. He's 6 years old, and he was getting really upset because he couldn't get on my computer last week, and he had to finish building his whatever arena or kingdom. And I had no idea how much goes into this, but he's 6.
Yeah.
And apparently this is a big deal. So.
Oh, is he playing Minecraft?
Don't play video games.
He's probably playing Minecraft.
Or, there's also Dragon Quest Builders too, which is another builder.
Oh, no, I think it's Roblox. It's Roblox.
Oh, yes, Roblox.
Oh, okay, Roblox, yeah.
If he can't play Roblox for 10 hours every day of the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday, okay, so he's here. We go racing on Saturday. So when he wakes up Sunday morning, we're into Roblox the whole day.
Oh, yeah.
That's all he does. Hours. I'm not talking a block of time. I'm talking 8 hours.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's what his, my friend's mom was like, but, he's been in there all morning. I'm like, that's nothing. Like, I've literally woke up, started playing a game, and all of a sudden it's like 4:00 in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell happened? Where did my day go?
I've gotten lost in the computer game.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lego series is quite interesting because I've been playing the Batman ones.
Oh, yeah.
But they have such a good sense of humor to them. There's the sense of humor, and the Indiana Jones ones and the Star Wars one just takes the piss out of all those movies.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you get to play a little Lego characters, and you have to build things and then knock them down and collect all these rivets and stuff like this. So yeah, it passes.
So you're liking the Lego characters better than the Indiana Jones characters, or?
Well, the Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and Batman characters are all from Xbox 360.
Okay, gotcha.
And now that we're in the Xbox One, now because of the Lego's movie, now they got their own characters. But you still get Batman and stuff like that appearing in the Lego movies, and there's the Marvel series as well now with the Lego set. And there's Pirates of the Caribbean Lego series, Lego computer game series.
Well, they're doing so many now, because even any of the Lego sets that you see, they do partnerships with Stranger Things. They just did a Stranger Things, so I'm not going to be surprised in the next Lego game they'll incorporate those characters in there, because whenever they do an IP, when they do an actual IP, they're able to actually integrate it not only into their products, their consumer products, but they're also integrating it into their games.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite fun. It's mindless. And as I said before, you can spend about an hour and you can put it away after each chapter and carry on with your life sort of thing. So it's not totally engrossing like something like Red Dead Redemption or something like that. So And it's quite good if you get, if you're with someone who doesn't play computer games, they can join you and learn quite quickly as well. But I'm just playing on my own because everyone's anti-computer games in my house.
I can't imagine that. Yeah, I could imagine that.
And I'm still keeping up on my Mobility Mary on YouTube.
Oh my God, don't get me going. He talked about this yesterday. We were doing our doc.
Love Mobility Mary. She's a 600-pound woman who rides around Santa Monica, terrorizing Santa Monica residents on a scooter.
What?
Yeah, and she basically, she's a big troublemaker, and I mean, apparently she's like the town terror. And, it's kind of person that she's like, excuse me. And she's like, your dog should be on a lead. And it's just, she's just mad as a hatter. But
anyway, so how, have you ever noticed, I don't know about you, John, because he does it to me more than you, but it says Keith Chawgo has just posted something to your timeline. And I'm just like,
you're like, what now?
I'm just like scared to look. I'm really nervous. Like, oh shit, what he fucking puts, on my Facebook again. But it was this old debilitated lady on her scooter, and that's all she does is run.
So, is she recording herself or other people?
Yeah, she's got a GoPro or something.
So basically, you don't see her. She's got the camera on the front of her scooter, and she's just bombing down the street. And I think she's got one of these scooters that goes about 15, 20 miles per hour, and and the person will be 50 yards away from her. She goes, "Excuse me, can you move over? I can't get."
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then next thing you know, she's driving down the middle of the street on the road.
Oh my
or
God.
She's in the middle of the 405, which is a major highway in California out of LA. And she's going, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And she just keeps going on and on. It's like, oh my God.
Oh my God, this woman is crazy. Holy shit, the 405. You get ran over. I'm surprised people don't run over.
Who does that?
Yes, man, but she's just, you can't stop watching her and you just start laughing because she's a total bitch. I mean, let's face it. She thinks the world owes her a living.
I mean, nobody's that messed up.
She's got a fear of dogs. So and so there's one point she goes, oh my God, the dog could have attacked me. And all of a sudden it's like you look and all of a sudden it's like these two little lap dogs popping out to her. And she's screaming and said they're gonna kill her, and it's like, yeah, she told
it's probably somebody who sounds like that's living in their parents' basement.
Or it could be like, the fact that you don't see her, it could be someone who's just doing it to create content, right? And it's unusual.
No, actually, if you read
but it's great content.
The reason why she records everything because she sends everything to the police, like on a regular basis, these videos.
Oh, she is that hateful. Okay. I didn't know that.
Showing her she's like.
So basically, she's Frida Claxton from Golden Girls, where it's like, isn't Frida Claxton the woman that lived down on Mulberry Street? She was such a bitch, and she
guy. Remember
kicks
Tourette's
a coffin.
Tourette's guy?
The what?
Oh my God, you don't remember Tourette's guy?
No.
I think
it's wrong.
Oh wait, yes, I do. He's the one who does
people
songs,
with infliction.
He had a horrible potty mouth, or he'd be in the frozen food section of whatever grocery store, and he just starts cussing everybody out.
No, I mean, I think if you have a niche for something, or people say you should put it up, there's
a niche for everything.
No, there is.
There is seriously a market for everything. It doesn't matter what you do.
I watch gamers all the time, and there's not on Twitch, but on YouTube, there's a gamer that I now follow because I was trying to learn how to play Dead by Daylight, and there was one guy who was kind of showing his ins and outs of playing, but then I was watching it because they're comical. Some of the games he was playing, Keith, you and I can contest this. Some of the matches you get into, you were like, God, I wish I would have recorded that because it was so funny. And you're just you get into these moments, right? So I'll go and I'll watch gamers for 35-minute videos. I'll watch the entire thing because I just think it's hilarious.
What I didn't know about that though is really kind of eerie and kind of weird. Same at that point, my son Tyler, he has video games of where he actually recorded everything between him and his brother. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you totally can. That's what we're
got
saying.
all the
you
games.
You can record the whole thing and record everything, and then
so it's kind of neat watching them kill each other. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big interactive community sort of thing. So, I mean, YouTube's going through a lot of problems at the moment as far as
I saw that
content. Well, you got the gays suing them at the moment, which is kind of ridiculous in its own right. But, I don't want to really get into that side of it. There's enough research on there that you realize how stupid that lawsuit is. But what's happening, there's a lot of copyright stuff going on at the moment. And I think what's happening is networks and Hollywood are kind of getting upset with YouTube because people are watching YouTube more than watching television now.
Yeah.
And they're
but how many? I mean, I have maybe 2 channels I watch on cable. I was telling my husband, it's like, I don't even watch this stuff anymore. Why don't you just ditch the cable? I watch Netflix, I watch Amazon, I watch YouTube. I really, and whatever I can't get on here, I'll watch on the internet as far as news goes.
Well, what now they're doing is doing copyright holds on anything. So anytime that let's sit there and say that we were recording for YouTube here, and let's sit there and say that John has a bit of music playing in the background, all of a sudden we're demonetized.
Oh man!
If you show any clips from a television show or someone else's channel, you're demonetized. Our YouTube channel is demonetized because.
But I thought that copyrights only come into play when it's actually making value, you're making money off of.
Are you talking about in the background?
In the background now, everything's being demonetized, and if you show clips, like people do like film clips and stuff like this, or dead kills or something like this, and you show clips from a television show or someone else's channel, they're demonetizing you automatically now.
Wow.
So basically, if you wanted to make content and make money off YouTube, you have to be very, very careful what's playing in the background and what you're actually using. And so you actually, if we were going to do, let's say, a video for our podcast, then, we wanted to show clips for the movies, we wouldn't be able to do that because it would be demonetized automatically now.
Wow.
And I think it's a way for the companies, and it's not YouTube, it's the companies themselves. It's Universal Music and it's Disney and all the other ones going around out it. They're like, no, we want money now. It's like,
well, it's also a lot of those studios are taking back a lot of their content to aggregate it into their own digital site. So that's where it's like they're really trying to privatize everything that's there. It's like mine, Well,
and a lot of it has to do with that YouTube are not very happy with some of the political content that's going out, and realizing that people are going to YouTube for political content as well. And
you think?
A lot of the governments, and we're talking both sides of the fence here. We're not talking one side.
I know. I'm just saying.
And a lot of the governments are really upset by that, to the point where it's just like, oh my God, they should be getting their news from where we want you to get their news from, and stuff like that.
Today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to put on YouTube so I can see Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump. I mean, that's not the first thing that crosses my mind. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that's more from an entertainment than a news. Like, I mean, again, I could be wrong. Maybe this is the younger generation, but where I go for it, I go for music, oddly enough, over Spotify, and I go for like video games, like looking at video games or music videos. I don't really go to it for news. I don't really even go to it for long form content. Like, I know there's a lot of series that are on YouTube. I really don't go. I'll sometimes go to look for free movies because they're pirated. Some of them are on there for now. But yeah, I don't really go on for like, I'm going to go see news commentary. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I do it for political things like I have she's become a friend, Blair White. She's a transsexual. Very
was that the same person you sent me her podcast or whatever? And, I love her. And she's fantastic.
And she, it's quite good because, she looks at, she
is so
she looks at things in the way the media are bringing things forward, and she kind of readdresses these kind of things as far as transgender issues are concerned. And there's this one about Jessica Yaniv. I won't go into a lot of detail, but Jessica Yaniv basically was closing down places. She says she's transgender, and so she wears a wig, and she'll contact these beauty salons and ask if they could wax her. And then when she shows up,
don't get me going.
When she shows up, she says that she wants her scrotum waxed.
Yeah.
So what happens underneath Canadian law that she's being discriminated against is she's getting all these places closed down. But so
this other woman,
Blair basically went forward with it, and I put her on the show. I put her on her show, and she started asking her questions about certain things. Is like, well, she goes, "You're not really transgender. You're putting on a wig, and this is what you're doing. But you're expecting all these transgender rules to help support you in this, but you're closing down people's businesses." And eventually it came out that Blair did a lot of research, and basically this guy named Jonathan, what he was doing is he would dress up as women, go into girls' restrooms and taking pictures of the young girls. And then he was trying to hold a party where they have all these naked girls, and he would be there naked because he's transgender. And it all gets quite murky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she kind of readdressed this. It's like, the thing is, transgenders have rights, but people are abusing these rights. And just because someone says they're transgender doesn't mean that everyone who says they're transgender should have the same kind of rights. There are stages that you have to go through, and someone's going to have to go through these stages that have those kind of rights. So she addresses issues like this. It's a lot more involved than that. I mean, I just gave you a little bullet points.
She's very entertaining, though. On the same token.
But there are other things. I kind of want some of the political things like that. I'm not far left.
Doesn't everybody get really
but I kind of
sick
look for things
of politics in every avenue of your life? I know I am.
Yeah, I mean, what the sad thing is I really can't watch news for that reason, because it just becomes a shit show. And when it comes to news,
so sick of it.
Beyond just like political things. There's just a lot of really negative things going on.
I don't care who
and it
you
seems
agree
like
with,
that's all we get.
like,
We get all the negative stuff and nothing really positive that's going on. And it's depressing when you go on and you're like, wow, there's a lot of just shitty things, like the Amazon forest burning, like all of that. It's just stuff like that. I'm like, why do I want to watch the news? Why am I going on the news to just see another horrible thing happening right now?
Well, the Amazon fire, and it's like no one's doing anything about it.
No, I know.
Well, if you want to think about 40 to 50 years ago, no one cared about the Amazon forest being deforested for the last how many decades?
I could tell you now, if the Amazon forest goes and everyone's worrying about climate change, trust me, you're going to be fucked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is the lungs of the planet.
And so you're kind of wondering where all these celebrities are who are sitting there, drive their...
Yeah, shut up, bitches.
Fighting about climate change and stuff like this, while they're probably putting more of a footprint on the world than anyone else.
Wow.
Where are they now that this is burning? Why?
Where are they? Where is every actor, every politician?
Where's Greta?
Where's Greta?
Where's Greta? Pippi Longstocking Greta.
Well, really, in all honesty... Not to piss off our listeners, that really does suck what's going on. And it took until 2 days ago for any conservative or whatever venue you had it finally started picking up the story. But it's a big deal. It really is.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be good, whatever happening. And I think, it's been going on for 2-3 days now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, about a week. I mean, it's probably
past the point of no return. I think the only way they're gonna put that out is have a huge rainstorm.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be. I think
an act of nature. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mother Nature is gonna have to step in on this one. Unfortunately,
the only thing that might help us is Washington and parts northern. We have our own little kind of rainforest going on, but not like that. That is actually the lungs of the planet. So conservative and crazy wacko wingnuts.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, this is some serious shit. So
it's sad to say like that type of information gets buried by all the political hoopla, right? And so it's like the important stuff, the very important stuff the way we should be.
The pervert of the nation. It's like, who gives a shit about him? He's dead. Thank you, God. Let's worry about the rainforest.
And speaking of public service announcements, what we're going to now cut to is about saving the sharks. We have Eli Roth here. He's going to talk to you about how we can save the sharks. What's happening is the sharks are decimating by 99%. So basically what will happen is we don't save the sharks in the finning trade. We are going to be missing these sharks, and they will not be there for future generations. As we know now, if the finning trade keeps on going, the sharks will be all gone within the next 5 to 10 years. So please listen to Eli Roth discuss to you about the shark trade.
Hi, I'm Eli Roth. And I'm underwater cinematographer Joe Romero. We're here on behalf of our friends at Shark Allies. There's a very important moment happening right now in Florida legislature, and we need your support.
Florida imports and exports more shark fins than any place in the country.
And there's a bill on the table to ban it completely. Shark finning is illegal in the U.S., but the shark fin trade is not. It's only legal in 12 states.
Florida will be the 13th state out of all 50 to adopt the no shark fin trade policy.
Even though the shark finning is illegal, the trade is actually driving more illegal activity. If we eliminate the trade, we can eliminate finning.
We lose an estimated 100 million sharks a year. It's 11,000 sharks an hour and 3 sharks a second. No animal can keep up with that. That's mass extinction.
Go here and sign this petition and let your voice be heard. And follow our friends at Shark Allies. Whether you are from Florida or not, we need your help.
Let's ban the shark fin trade completely.
Hello, welcome back to Literary Lessons Podcast. So remember that you need to save the sharks. All you need to do is on the show notes for this place, and also you can find this in our newsletter, and you can also find this on our news site at www.llpodcast.com. All you need to do is sign the petition. It'll take 2 minutes of your time, and you can save the sharks from yourself, for your future generations, and for many generations to come. The shark trade, finning trade, basically is what they do is they cut the fins off of sharks, they throw them back in the water, and they drown. And the sharks are not the only ones affected. Manta rays and other animals with fins are having the same kind of things done to it. And you have to remember, to be able to save the ecology, you have to take part in the ecology. So make sure you sign that petition. So let's have a discussion about season 2.
Ooh, season 2.
So season 2 basically is,
we're chalked up here. 73, you said?
yeah, this is episode number 73. The interesting thing about season 2, we did our books of screams, of course, and we did a lot of different books and stuff like this, and we also did our 2 for 1, which everyone's familiar with. We had our toes dipped into Shudder, and which we are now moved on.
I'm really gonna miss Shudder. I miss Shudder. I keep watching Shudder just for the nostalgia.
And
just
we also
like
did
watching
Alfred
it.
Hitchcock. We had an Alfred Hitchcock season. So, who wants to begin about season 2? What are your highlights, John, of season 2?
Man, first of all, I have to say I wasn't able to be in a lot of the episodes, as you both know. I mean, I was going through a very personal situation. I wish I was able to be in more of the
That's
episodes.
all good, hon.
But I would definitely say the ones that I was in, Homicidal and Dress to Kill was one of my first episodes, so past September. Wow, I can't believe it's almost been a year. That was actually one of my really favorite episodes. I just love that I had never seen either of those episodes before, and so you get the Homicidal and Dress to Kill, like the paradigm of the Norman Bates, if you will, I guess, killings.
Silent killers. I thought they're transgender or cross-dressers. I'm not quite sure.
I guess cross-dresser in that sense. But that was actually one of my favorites. One of my not so favorites was probably Stage Fright. And that was a Hitchcock one for me. I guess it just wasn't one that resonated well with me.
That's because you just didn't like Marlene Dietrich.
No, I like Marlene Dietrich. I think it was just slower for me, and I think I got lost.
He's homosexual. He loves Marlene Dietrich.
I love her.
I love all those gay divas. Gay icon. Yeah, I love her. So therefore, John, please get back your pink card. You're no longer.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, another one. What wasn't my favorite was House of Dark Shadows, which Keith and I actually talked about last time we were together.
But why? How do you not like that? How do you not like that movie, John? I want you to elaborate further on why you don't like that movie.
I think that one specifically is, it's an important thing when we're watching content to know where content belongs, and that belonged as a soap opera. It didn't belong as a movie. And I think
you're 100% correct on that.
When we talked about it more, I think we had the epiphany because I couldn't really put my finger on it. And this is what's one of the brilliant things about doing a podcast is sharing these ideas together and actually coming up with why doesn't something work or why does something work, right? So that's an excellent episode to talk about because I think, cumulatively realized the pacing was off. We knew the editing was off. And then it was sort of like, they were trying to do a soap opera movie where you do these really short cut scenes where it works on television when you're watching a soap opera, but it doesn't really translate to film, right? So, that to me was the biggest problem for that. For that
Don Curtis month that we did, I have to sit there and say that he actually excelled at television because the one film I did like, because we did Burn Offerings as well, which I wasn't huge fan of.
Huge fan of, just not the actor part of it.
Well, I know. I thought it was I thought the movie was badly executed. Personally, I thought Betty Davis was fantastic. I thought Karen.
No,
Black,
she was fantastic in it. I'm not talking about her part. I was talking about
I think the direction was off.
I don't think the direction was off. I thought that the one actor was off who was playing the main male character.
Oliver Reed.
I just thought he was totally.
Well, he looks like a wife abuser. I don't know what it is.
Well, he just wasn't made for that part. I mean, the Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all, I can see that. But he just did not fit the bill on that specific part. He was totally miscast.
Yeah, and I think the direction's off. I mean, the thing is, like, the house is supposed to be rebuilding itself and it doesn't look that much different. I think there's a lot off. But for me, for Dan Curtis, where he excelled at was Trilogy of Terror.
That one I love.
And Dark Shadows, of course, and then some of the other TV stuff he's done, like War and Remembrance and et cetera, with those. I think that he really excelled. I think when it came to theatrically, I don't think he was much of a movie director for the big screen. Do you think he fit the bill for maybe daytime drama, but not making movies? Well, I think he was good with TV movies. I mean, Trilogy of Terror. I mean, that's an evening TV movie for ABC for its time. I mean, it was very advanced, and I think that's where he excelled. I think if you look at his Frankenstein for ABC as well, with Agnes Moorehead and Seymour, that's fantastic. I mean, it's probably the best Frankenstein adaptation out there, or his Dracula or Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and his TV stuff. He's fantastic. But I think he needs a great big scope for like a mini series or lots of time to be able to tell a story.
So do you think he's like a sweeping saga kind of guy, or is he just
It's interesting. It's like a novelist, some people are only novelists and they can't write novellas, right? And vice versa. It's a rarity that an actual author can
do you think that he was like
successfully
basketing himself in that one genre? Could he not do anything other than daytime soap, which turned into a horror genre?
Well, no, I mean, the only daytime television show he did was Dark Shadows.
Right.
Everything else was primetime. War and Remembrance, which won tons of awards. That's him. The sequel to War and Remembrance, I think, which ran for, 14 weeks? That's another huge, that won huge awards as well. And then everything else is primetime stuff. So I think he's more of not just daytime, I think he's more of a television director, which isn't a bad thing because he gave us a lot of good content for television.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
And he pushed the envelope for television, which I don't think a lot of people were doing. If you look at Dark Shadows, that pushed the envelope. Without Dark Shadows, we wouldn't have Buffy, we wouldn't have Stranger Things, we wouldn't have everything that we have today, True Blood.
I'm trying to put it in a time frame like when I was a kid, because I remember, Dark Shadows, I was five-ish, six-ish, I couldn't watch it, but there was Search for Tomorrow, Secret Storm, All My Children, all these other soap operas that did genuflect from them. What'd you say?
All My Children.
Yeah, but you got to remember soap operas at that time and television at that time outside the Twilight Zone, they were all family domestic dramas. That's everything there. Yeah. Dark Shadows comes along, which is a supernatural gothic daytime soap. And what that did was that changed the view of soaps. When Dark Shadows went off the air, General Hospital, Guiding Light, all of them all of a sudden has supernatural storylines that none of them would ever even think of.
That's true. I did not think of that, but that's true.
And then you also have to remember that what came after Dark Shadows, Night Stalker on primetime television, X-Files, Buffy, all these supernatural TV shows with great sweeping storylines that working with Buffy and working on Buffy sort of thing. Basically what you do is you get a whole season of 24 episodes, and there's a story arc that goes from the first episode of that season that lasts you all the way to the end, and then you have individual stories that go on and how many facets they are. And then you come to your conclusion at the end of the season, leaving a few breadcrumbs there because you need to pick up for the following season. And without Dark Shadows, you wouldn't have that. That's the same thing with X-Files. X-Files did the same thing with these great big sweeping storylines. Yeah. And before that, what you had when it came to supernatural thrillers, you had Monster of the Week. That's all you had. Twilight Zone, Story of the Week. You didn't have great big sweeping storylines. We didn't have great big soap opera sweeping storylines, and Dark Shadows started that.
No, it's really in the 80s.
In the 80s, they tried bits and pieces. They didn't go very well. I think. The 80s, when it came to 80s horrors were slashers. Everyone wanted the young, nubile teenagers getting killed. And we
Right.
weren't really into the big ghost stories. Ghost stories are kind of dead, and monster stories are dead, and stuff like this. You know, we did get a few in between, but basically it was the slashers. It's the 90s when we decided to graduate from slashers, and we started looking at horror a different way. And when we were more interested in ghosts and supernatural and vampires and everything else came after, like,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, probably the beginning of that probably was Lost Boys in the late 80s. What was that, 86, 87? And then by the 90s, of course, Buffy started. And now, of
What do
course,
you think the transition from vampires from I'm looking rough kind of vampire to I'm a sparkly vampire? When do you think that started?
that came from, that started with Lost Boys.
Yeah.
You think?
Lost
No, they
Boys,
weren't
that-
really sparkly though. They
That
were
an interview with the vampire, obviously, because that was like an Anne Rice.
Vampire, Lost Boys. But you had all of a sudden you had these sexy young teenagery types, and Twilight. The reason that they are sparkly is because it gives you a chance to put your vampire into daylight, so that way you can move your drama from a
True.
regular vampire is going to be shown at
Dark,
night.
dank, yeah.
Good point. Did not think of that.
So it's a story of device. I mean, you know, if you're talking about Twilight, you need to realize what Twilight is written for. Twilight is written for a teenage audience, and it's about sustaining until you're married. It's about not having sex until you get married. And that's what, it's a whole allegory. That's what Twilight is about.
Yeah.
So even though you fall in love with the dangerous guy and he's everything that you want him to be, and he might be sparkly or everything like that, you shouldn't have sex to him. You should need to save yourself before until he commits to you and you commit to him, and then you can release yourself, and then in this case you would become a vampire with him to marry him. But you have to get married to be able to have sex.
It's also about which is most stories about transformation, right? So Bella wanting to transform into something, you know, Edward trying to transform himself into
I felt bad
the good
for
guy.
Edward throughout that whole movie because let's face it, she did not have the most satisfying face going on.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting that, you know, we're kind of definitely veering off when it comes to this, but like, you know, when it comes to casting, you know, I think they casted what they thought Bella should look like. They casted what Edward should look like. And I think maybe it was more Kristen Stewart is a very somber, I guess, personality, because if you look at a lot of her films, she's very like deadpan in the face sometimes, and I think she's going to get typecasted for those roles. She
is, though. That's how
sadly,
yeah, we are straying, but
I'm gonna stick up for her because I've read the Twilight novels. I read them.
So have I.
And Bella is a miserable bitch.
She is. She is. No, I agree. They could. I agree, saying that they casted the right person because she's not meant to be. She's not meant to be melancholy. No, she is. Yeah, she is.
She's like, I'm Bella. And first of all, it doesn't help that all the books are written in the first person. So you have to. You're spending, you know, 250 to 350 pages with this woman who thinks she's God's gift to the human race. She thinks she's better than everyone around her, and everything's a big drama with her. It's like she can't find her school books. It's a drama.
Well, it's the teenage angst, right? She's moved to a hometown where she doesn't want to be, and it's dreary.
She's better than everyone else.
Actually, no. The only thing she likes about the town is it is dreary. It's not like summery. She likes the dreariness of it. She doesn't. And she doesn't go out trying to find friends. She just really likes being a loner, and she happens to find someone else who's a loner, right? And they end up like.
I have no idea how we got off on this tangent.
Yeah, well, we're talking about like
the supernatural
became sparkly. That's where we got.
Yeah. Well, we talk about like the supernatural, the evolution of that, and you know, we look at a lot of like, especially vampires. So let's go back to our vampires. So you get Love at First Bite, you know, you get Dracula, you get these films.
My favorite part of Love at First Bite is it's a black chicken. I mean, you know.
Oh yeah.
That was like my favorite part. To this day, I remember 40 years ago watching this movie, and these black people are in there, and this vampire bat flies into their
it's a black chicken.
It's a black chicken. Kill it.
I mean, I have to admit that with Dracula was one of those things is like I was regretting doing. As far as I love the black and white movie. I still hate the Francis Ford Coppola movie. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I agree with you on that. I actually liked it. I thought it was cheesy.
It's overacted. It's cheesy. Yeah.
It's just I just think that I think it's the title. You know, I had the same problem with that as I had with the.
Well, no, it wasn't
Netflix
Stoker's
series
Dracula at all.
No,
Well, no, actually it
like
was.
House of
It's
Haunting
like a
Hill for
fantasy.
Netflix. It's like, you know, if you're gonna call it something, make it be that. But what I did like about it, I love the book. I have to there. That's the one that was great. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to read this fucking long.
That's
book.
one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I thought it was brilliant, and it's now one of my
I
favorites.
have read that book and reread it a gazillion times. And, you know, as far as, you know, like Shelley's Frankenstein or Edgar Allan Poe or whatever, that book is like on the top of the pile for me. I've always loved it. I don't know why. It's kind of really misogynistic, yet you still like it.
I love this, but my favorite book of this season is Room. It's still my favorite book of the season.
Yeah.
That
It
was
just
a good book.
resonated with me. It has so much heart to it. It has so much character to it, and it just was one of my favorites. Yeah.
I think I have to agree with you. The Room is the one I was bitch. I think that's the one I bitched about the most, about having to read. It's like, oh my god, I gotta fucking read this book. The book's it's like really small print. It's like, oh really? And it's like it doesn't come on my Kindle, which is like even worse. That means I have to carry a book on.
Oh my God. It was that thick. It was like that thick. Like
Yeah.
people 3 inches thick. I was going to kill John when I found out.
But I have to say, once I had it read within 4 days. I couldn't stop
Yeah.
reading. It was.
I read it in a week. It was really it was a page turner. It was a great book.
And it wasn't the road, right? Because the way the language is very Cormac McCarthy in some ways, and it's not Papa, the boy, Papa. Like this was a child's perspective, but the way it's written, it's from. You almost are like, wow, I could hear him saying this.
right.
Like, right? You hear his voice at the certain point. Like I started to actually hear his
Wasn't
voice.
this based on a true story?
Well, it's loosely based on that news story where that woman was held in the basement and was fathering. She had about 4 or 5 kids, and he takes the kids out, and they ended up living upstairs because he was telling the mother that their daughter was running off and then leaving the kids,
Okay.
leaving kids on their doorstep, and actually she was been underneath there for all those years.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what a horrible existence that must be?
I mean, you saw those one women. There was more than one. There was like 2 or 3,
my
right?
God. Shut up, Keith.
There was that one case too where it was like 3 of them. There was 3 women who.
Oh, the ones I believe was in Chicago.
Is that the one in Austria or something like that, or somewhere like that?
Oh
No,
my God,
there's one
they
here.
were like prisoners, for like the better part of 2 or 3 decades, at least 2 decades, 10 years, whatever.
I mean,
And I just can't imagine.
I have to sit there and say though, I kind of wish I read the book first and I watched the film afterwards. And I have to sit there and say, with Room, I think I wish I did it the other way around in that case. Because I think
Watch the book first, because it give you a little bit more clarity going into the book. Maybe?
I think the film kind of ruined it for me, because the film is a brilliantly acted piece of filmmaking, and it's a really good film, and everyone's excellent in it, but the book spoils you, and there's just so much they could have done with the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you notice all these like magical scenes with the mother and everything like this, and they're not in the film, and it kind of ruined the film slightly for me, I think.
It also
when you think about it, as a mom, you always got to try to figure out all this crap to keep your kid excited through the day or emotionally, whatever through the day. It is such hard work trying to keep one kid. Just one kid happy, and to keep that one child happy, isolated in a 6x6 bunker.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Well, and it's also in the book where I think what you notice is that there's more of a pacing to everything that, right? Having to have your kid entertain your child. All the steps that she took to not only entertain but take care of, nurture, and so you see these steps. Whereas in the movie, they cut a lot of it, and they have to because of time purposing. But in the book, it's felt the struggle. The struggle is felt through the child and then the mother, and you feel like this long stay. Whereas in the film, it goes by so quick, right? You're just like, and this happens, and this happens, this happens.
It goes by so quick. I was just sitting there trying to figure out, how does she keep this kid happy?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like traumatized just watching the movie,
Well, it's just also to say that nowadays we're desensitized, right? So literally now we just stick a phone in front of a child and that calms it, puts the child at bay.
The TV, the computer, whatever
Yeah.
works. So we don't have to have.
But now, you know, back
Physical
then,
acknowledgement.
a stick, or what did he have? The little slinky snake thingy, like, you know,
Yeah.
the eggs. Like, it's the little things that make you happy. And that should be it. That's actually a big, valid point that we should look at now, you know, in society, is that we get so overwhelmed by all these different things that are going on. But it's like the littlest things can make you happy, not, you know, these grandiose things. Sometimes
Right.
those things are never going to make you happy, you know?
I have to say, I mean, I did like the film. I just think that there's so much in the book that I would love to have seen in the film that's not there, and I think that's the reason why. You
Yeah.
know, but I mean, but the book I really, really enjoyed. I also think that it was quite interesting that we decided to go into a lot of true stories this year. as
Yeah.
well.
Was that on purpose, or did we just kind of gravitate that way?
Well, we did Sybil, of course, so we learned about. Now, I think this is where I think the book and the TV miniseries told in 2 parts with Sally Fields. I think this is where they kind of complement each other quite well.
I agree. Yeah.
We did Sybil, and it was quite interesting to find out. You know, you read something and it's a true story, but then by the time you finish it, it's kind of weird, but you still kind of have doubts.
Yeah.
Of it. It's kind of interesting. You want to believe it, and you do believe that some of it is true, but you don't know how far they've gone with either the book or the TV film.
Yeah,
Well, I think things
the
like that
validity,
kind of
right?
stick
Trying to
with it.
understand the validity of her story, and then you know, I think this is one I think I did the most research on, because I wanted to be like, I am a little confused. Like, there's moments where within the book there is doubt there. Like, I don't know how necessarily this is believable, and I kind of wanted to do more research about the true story, and then hearing about the different case of that. It was very interesting, because I'm still left with, we don't know where the truth is, right? So
left with that on that book too, or even on the movie, because again, as a mom and a grandmom and whatever, I mean, as much as I wanted to throttle all of my children every time when they were growing up, I can't imagine even contemplating that kind of treatment to any human being. And
Well, I think it's a good way to have a large family with only one mouth to feed. I'm for
that is true.
it.
true, economic family, as you called her. Yeah.
I think was what we called the month.
Well, and you get into, so this is where, you know, one of the most haunting stories was the girl next door and American Crime, which was real, and that, like, to me,
Oh my God, that was a
so
ball busting.
that gives validity to her doing. There is a possibility that someone could be so cruel and so wicked and so mean, you know.
I
Yeah,
have
but
to
you don't expect it next door most of the time.
Well, the Sylvia Lycan story has given us the most comments on all across the media. It's actually our best watched or best listened to podcast. It's affected a lot of people to the point where a lot of people said that after they listened to it, they did a lot of research about this. And, you know, people are contacting me quite on a weekly basis, asking me criminal psychological stories about the Lycan family and what ways they're going, which is quite interesting. We got a lot of good feedback from that story. I think it's one of those stories that, you know, we covered that back, March, you know, and
Right.
and the thing is, I knew about the story before I mentioned it. I became familiar with it probably about 10 years ago. And
I never even heard of it. You know, that's the one thing that's been great about you guys. I've either read something, saw something, or researched something I've never heard of before. And this would be one of those instances. I've never heard about it. I knew it happened, but this was such a remarkable story. I mean,
Well, I forget what we were watching or we were reviewing, but you were like, "Oh, buckle up." I'm like, "Oh, well, great. What is this going to be now?" Because I'm like, "What did Keith give us now?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'm like at home, like, just this feeling of, it makes you sick. It makes you nauseous to be like, God, I can't believe not only one, but multiple people treating someone with such indignity, you know, and it's heartbreaking.
Well, I mean, you know, when I first came in contact with this story, I mean, it still haunts me. It's still in the back of my mind all the time. When I see her, it's just like, it's sickening. It's amazing. You know, it's also that group mentality. Like you get a bunch of kids together and they decide to,
They just have
adults.
what is it called? It's like a pack mentality.
Yeah. And and you just think, the thing is it's hard to understand how one person could torture, brutally beat someone, rape them, and eventually murder them.
Was she sexually abused though? They don't go into that in the story.
Well, they blowtorched her vagina.
Yeah,
I did know that, but
and things like that, and that's not, and that's just part of things. That's not including Coke bottles and everything else. Not to go,
right.
It gets even more graphic on that. People, we're just hitting an iceberg on this one.
Right.
But the thing is like, one person doing it, but having the neighborhood kids all come in and join in, and that's what, and no one says anything.
Yeah.
And then, then you get the whole story and stuff like this, and which is bad enough, but then the aftermath. And this is like, these people did not get the sentences that they deserved.
No, not whatsoever. And I think we all can look at, if you believe in karma, it's like karma eventually does catch up with a lot of them, but you're just kind of like, wow, even the crimes that they committed, they didn't really, it weren't served the way they should have been.
Responsibility either.
No.
They felt that they were the victims, that they were the victims of what happened here, that, if she didn't come into their homes, this would never have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing. Though I have to sit there and say that it's quite interesting that Helter Skelter that we covered, and some of the theories and hypotheses that we came up to about what we thought about the whole Helter Skelter plan of the Beatles and stuff like this, how I think it's bollocks. I think it's just a way for, I think the family just, killed. I don't think there's going to be the reason that the book Helter Skelter comes out with, or the TV miniseries that we covered. But the theory that we came out with, I was watching Mindhunter on Netflix and finished watching season 2. And the same theory that we came up with in our podcast, they mentioned in their
That's crazy. Well, that's a very interesting case too, because it's something that keeps coming back up. Because like I talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and how these things, these stories are sort of infamous, and that they just will never ever go away. I go back to even season 1. We talk about Amityville. How many freaking movies have been made from Amityville, and how many true crimes are
based on it?
Yeah, I mean, how many things like that happen, and there's a reason why someone has to tell this story, and sort of, and the truth gets diluted down because of Hollywood. We want to make it glamorous, or we want to make it more insatiable, right? Or we want to dilute it down because we want to give it that rating of a PG-13 or an NC-17. It's like
a strong hard R.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how they can take something that's a true story and do something on it. And the worst thing about it, I think that people will watch the movie and think this is fact-based. Like if you look at The Conjuring 1 and 2.
Don't get me going.
And to be honest, it's like, yeah, there is a little bit of truth in there. But when you read the actual cases, you're kind of going, well, okay, they've blown this out of proportion. But you know that people are watching these films and going, okay, this is the true story. This is the truth. Everything in this truth. I think we didn't do Amityville Horror this year. That was last year.
No, we did last year. Yeah.
And Amityville Horror, I mean, the thing is like, even if you think this is a true story, now you read the book, and the book's a bit more believable, more of a believability matter, though it is badly written.
Yeah.
But then you watch the film and what Hollywood did with it, you're thinking, what the hell?
Yeah.
We had windows blowing out of the house, and we had blood dripping down, and
I think everything, when plausibility goes sort of out the window, when it's like a person stays in a home when things are flying across the room. No, any person in their right mind would be like, I'm done. Like I think of the movie Poltergeist when she's like, let me show you what's going on. The chair moves across the floor. The first thing I would say is like, time to go, time to pack it up, time to move. Like we're not staying here.
Cameras, and time to get the EMP. Yeah, seriously, that's good stuff. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, but no.
Yeah, I have to agree.
You cannot go ghost hunting with me, John.
You're like, it's like a serial killer. You're like watching someone get dragged away. This could be very interesting. Get your camcorder. Come on, hurry it. Let's follow them and let's see what they're gonna do. We're like, no.
If I was Jo Beth Williams having to do that scene with that beautiful little ethereal blonde-haired little girl that she was, I mean, I would have got the fuck out of the house. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm serious. And you have children too, so that at one point, if it's maybe you're by yourself and you wanted to.
But they were potheads.
Yeah, that's true.
Potheads.
But isn't it interesting how that film had to influence like Paranormal Activity, right? Because of that, there's a couple scenes, especially the one where they go back to the 80s and the guy is more fascinated by capturing it and he sets up the cameras and, you know, it's like, it's very interesting, you know.
I mean, I think that, you know, it's been quite interesting about some of the films that we covered when we look at fairy tale against folk tale, and we did that with Suspiria and The Witch.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we had like this fairy tale like that Dario Argento does with Suspiria, and then we had this The Witch, you know, the folk tale of the witch, and it's kind of how someone could take the story of the witch and kind of fundamentally they're kind of the same kind of story, really. It's like, you know, innocent girl gets involved and then things go out of whack sort of thing, but how you can take something and have two different the difference between fairy tale and folk tale, which is quite interesting. I thought that when we did that.
Yeah, I actually really liked The Witch. I mean, I think I liked it just because of the whole, you know, it felt very crucible to me.
It just took so long to get me involved in it.
Yeah. I mean, also, I just think that it was just interesting, the story, again, talking about plausibility, like what was real.
Like up there with The Crucible. I loved The Crucible. I couldn't play it enough. But I mean, this one just took me a little bit to get involved.
Yeah,
I think it's a slow burn film. I think what makes it off-settling, I think why The Witch is a bit off-settling also is because you have this weird dialect going on at the same time. So you're like trying to, you know, you're so used to hearing modern English all the time that when you hear this oldie Englishy thingy, word vocalization that they're doing, you're kind of like, okay, you're watching it. And let's face it, I mean, if I would have committed suicide if I was born during that time, I'd come out of the womb, hang myself. You know, I'm going to hang myself on the cord because it's not a happy life, is it?
Yeah, no.
No, it didn't appear so.
No, it's just all hardship
But I mean, you know, on the other hand, we had all that fun stuff with that, like, you know, high anxiety and blazing saddles.
Oh yeah.
Which, I mean, the best thing for race relations and mental health, you know, like ever happened. So
Mel Brooks, I'm telling you.
Well, I have to sit there and say that we have courted controversy quite a few times, actually, because we did, you know, Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddle, which has some controversy in it, of course. Then we got to remember what we did for December. I mean, we did Jesus Christ Superstar. We did Saved, about born again Christians, and we did.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I love Saved. It's one of my favorite go-tos whenever I'm just feeling down.
What was her name? She's, oh God.
Hilary Faye.
Yeah.
Hilary Faye. Jesus loves you, Hilary Faye. Save the heathens, Hilary Faye.
I just wanted to strangle her through the whole thing, but it was really entertaining, and I thought I was going to hate it. It was just one of those things I thought I was going to hate John for, but I liked it.
It's such a great movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, we did, you know, we did our study of Jesus Christ and through its many different variations.
And the life of Brian, you know, could you even get any worse?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was Chad Miller helped us with the life of Brian, and I think through most of the podcast we couldn't stop laughing because we couldn't find any good way to outline to talk about this one movie because there's really no way to do it. I mean, it was just funny.
Well, I have to sit there and say that every once in a while we do get a book that is totally different from the film, and I think that was Witches of Eastwick. I was like,
yeah,
you like read the book and then you see the movie.
It was totally not.
Where the hell did they come with this movie from?
And you wonder where that comes from. You know, you wonder why it varied so much and like what happened. How did it go so sideways? You know, which I heard, isn't there a rumor that they're trying to still do a series on that?
God, I hope not.
They did do a series that came out about 4 years ago with Veronica Cartwright coming in.
Oh no, you know what I'm talking about? Now I'm thinking about it. It's not that. It's what's the one with? I mean, this is Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, I think.
Oh, Practical Magic, my favorite movie. I love that movie.
They're trying to do a series.
Yeah.
They are, and I was like, please, God, no, don't do it.
Well, they're doing
like, don't take that away from me.
But they're doing a
Leave it
prequel
alone.
series, which is quite interesting because it's not going to be about Sandra Bullock's and Nicole Kidman's character. It's going to be about Stockard Channing's character when they were younger.
I know. I
Yes.
understand what they
Yeah.
want to do with that, but it's still just, it's a relevance and a reverence among practicing pagans everywhere across the country. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. That's all I have to say.
I mean, I enjoyed the film. I mean, I'll be.
I love Practical Magic. That is like one of my most quotable. I love that movie. It's like, I just love it.
Got Sandra Bullock's in it.
Sandra
I
Bullock.
know, because
Sandra Bullock.
hey, she's America's
Sandra Bullock.
sweetheart. She's America's sweetheart.
My friend Emma, she now lives in Australia, but she can't watch Sandra Bullock because every time she sees Sandra Bullock, she says that Sandra Bullock is like Michael Jackson. To her, Sandra Bullock is like Michael Jackson.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the distinction there. Like how? What?
Facially. And the thing is, if you look at picture Sandra Bullock's face in your head, and now picture Michael Jackson going white in your head, and there are similarities.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say no.
What we'll do is we'll do a Sandra Bullock film festival, and then afterwards,
Oh God.
just before we watch Finding
Everybody
Neverland.
who just turned us on and decided they might not turn us on.
Yeah,
ever.
exactly. Wait, what
We
season is
love
this?
you.
Season
Me
10?
and John love you. Don't listen to Keith. He lives in the UK. We are Americans. He is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock's.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock's. So, but yeah, I think also what I quite liked, which I'm actually going to miss when we go into season 3, is the Alfred Hitchcock.
I know. Yeah.
All the Alfred Hitchcocks. I have to sit there and say that for me was the highlight every month is what Alfred Hitchcock are we doing.
You know what I liked about it the most is I don't remember watching most of them since I was a little kid, but watching them, being an older individual, which I am, it was kind of really cool just watching it because now I can get it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I went to film school and I studied some of Hitchcock.
Oh, that's your excuse.
And I studied some of them, but I didn't watch that many of them. And now I feel like having been a connoisseur of.
Well, I mean, I
Alfred
actually
Hitchcock.
never really watched those movies, and now that I can actually say I did, it's like, okay, well, did you watch the Alfred Hitchcock? You know, it's like, yeah, that's me. But it does give you a whole different, you know.
I have to say we were quite clever with season 2 because as you know, we do the book to screen, and we started off with Psycho, which we did the book and we did the screen, and then we did Alfred Hitchcock. But then we also finished our season 2 with book to screen with Strangers on the Train, the book to screen, and then finished with, of course, with North by Northwest. And I have to say that I can't fault any of the Alfred Hitchcock. I think if I had to pick a least favorite, probably would have been Stage Fright. But if I put Stage Fright in a bunch of other movies, it's not going to fail. But I think as far as an Alfred Hitchcock film is concerned, I think that's probably the weakest Alfred Hitchcock that we did.
Yeah.
Which one?
Stage Fright.
Out of the Alfred Hitchcocks. But
So you did okay. So y'all are gay, and you don't like Marlene Dietrich.
It has nothing to do with
It had nothing to do with that. Yeah.
It has to do with some of the reasoning inside it. I thought Marlene Dietrich was fantastic. I think Jane Wyman was okay.
Yeah.
Jane Wyman was mediocre.
And
well, that's my biggest problem with it is that character, and then again they tried to do a All About Eve thing to make her disguise. Her disguise is horrible.
Do you think that's what they went with?
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like the whole disguise thing. I was like, this is confusing. Like what, you know?
I think overall it's a good film, but for an Alfred Hitchcock film, it's not a great film. And I think
I thought the cinematography in it, the black and white, was beautiful. The silver screen stuff.
I think if you compare it to all the other Alfred Hitchcock ones that we did this year,
you think it was mediocre or something?
I think it just pales against all the Alfred Hitchcocks. It pales against The Birds. It pales against Strangers.
Well, anything pales against The Birds. I mean,
but you got to look at but even Lifeboat. Lifeboat is all done on one setting.
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
And then
I
Rope,
love
Rope was done in
Loved
one
it.
setting too, and it was done so well, and how it just moved around the room, and the characters interacted with each other. So they're, I agree. Yeah.
I mean,
I love Lifeboat. I thought that was great.
I think Marlene Dietrich was excellent in Stage Fright. It's nothing against her. I just think that, when you look at all the Alfred Hitchcocks that we covered, Stage Fright pales against the other 14 films that we covered.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, so out of all of them, that would be your least likely one.
Of the Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
But if you ask me about all the films that we covered, would it pale against them? No. I'm just saying in an Alfred Hitchcock.
No, I'm asking for the two.
Yeah.
I was being, whatever, facetious. But I mean, asking which one out of all the Alfred Hitchcock movies that me, you, and John have covered, what would be your personal favorite?
Oh, my personal favorite.
Oh wow, this is hard because I have a couple.
John, we expect that out of you. So
it's hard though because there's such an affinity for Psycho, obviously for.
Well, Psycho is a given. Other than Psycho,
I think that it has to go on mood. I always love the Birds for some reason, but I don't like Tippi Hedren. I think out of my favorite.
You don't like Tippi Hedren, remember?
No, but I love but it's everyone else. I love Jessica Tandy and everyone else that's in it, but it's hard to just pick one.
I mean, it's also like
You have to
Lifeboat.
pick one.
I liked Lifeboat a lot just because it was a cast of characters and they were all so different and they all played off well off of each other. So I liked that one a lot and that was new to me. I never saw that before. So I would say that still resonates in my mind. The story still resonates in my mind.
I always love it when John says that he's never seen this movie or read this particular book because he really means it, people. He hasn't seen it or he's never read it.
Well, and I mean, I'm sure that I've shared stuff with you guys too, that it's sort of like you've never, have seen, but it's like one of these things where I'm surprised that I didn't see Lifeboat, but it's not something that's popularized. Like no one goes and goes, "Oh my God, Lifeboat!" That Hitchcock film. If I said that to anyone else, they'd be like, "What? What movie is that?" Worst
directed films, as far as I'm like capable of seeing, and I'm not a director, but I love that movie, and I don't know why. Just do.
I had to sit there and say I think I have to pick between two movies of Hitchcock's, and I hate to say it because it makes me feel so common, but
being a whore.
But I love Rear Window and North by Northwest. I love both.
I love North by Northwest. I love Cary Grant. There is no way anybody else could have played Cary Grant in that part.
No.
Could have.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Jimmy Stewart that they wanted to do. Jimmy Stewart couldn't have done it. I'm sorry. We talked about it, but nah, he couldn't have done it.
But if I wanted to be like, oh, look at me, I'm culty,
I know.
I would say Frenzy.
Frenzy, yeah.
But I have to be honest because this is a podcast. We have to be honest here. So I have to go with what everyone else says. So as far as because I can watch The Window anytime it's on. Every time it comes on, all Alfred Hitchcock captures me. But I just love like what's happening with the neighbors, and Grace Kelly is beautiful, and North by Northwest.
Oh my God, Grace Kelly! Talk about elegance and grace, literally in an era of bullshit and nasty skank.
Grace Kelly's the only actress that has an asymmetrical face.
Yeah,
she's just beautiful. I mean, I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. I have to say it. Snowflakes. There are people out there that just actually have eloquence, grace, and beauty, and that day is over sometimes.
She did have dandruff, though.
She did not.
She can't be perfect now.
Did they
she
found her head?
Perfect.
They found her head and shoulders on the dashboard.
Oh.
Oh my God! You did not.
Gotta wash that gray and dander right out of your hair. Gotta wash that gray and dander right out of your hair.
Oh my God! And for anybody wanting to direct their anti-whatever emails, it'd be Keith Chawgo at llpodcast.com.
So what we're going to do is we're going to cut to a commercial break, and we'll be back after word from our sponsors, and we'll come back and discuss what season 3 has in form for us.
Amazon. Oops, wrong Amazon. Although we both contain an array of diversity, the rainforest with all of its animals and us with all of our products, come check us over today and find all the products you need quickly and efficiently. And buy it with one click. And now you can even use us to donate to your favorite charities using Amazon Smile. Amazon Smile is worth your while. Come check us out today.
We are one planet. We share one extraordinary home. We are millions of wonders, but we are all one world. If we only get one chance to save our planet, to protect it for the next generation, then we have to take it. This is our chance. This is our fight. For our planet, for our home, for all of us. Join WWF today.
Okay, Bradley, tell the class about your holidays.
Yeah, it was really good. My dad built us a new kitchen. It's got wooden bench tops and some stupid self-closing drawers. There was a dishwasher that was a real and even a breakfast bar. Mum thought Dad was a massive.
Get a kitchen installed without teaching your kids new words. Visit ikea.com.au. We can plan, deliver and install the whole thing for you.
Hello?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I have a bunch of favorite movies. I watch them all on Shudder.com for only $4.99 a month.
That's a scary low price.
But if I had to pick a favorite, it'd probably be Scream.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the only streaming service that lets me watch hundreds of horror movies on demand.
I'll be right back.
Hello? Hello? Hello, are you gonna subscribe? Hello?
Go to Shudder.com to subscribe, if you dare.
Hello, welcome back to Literary License Podcast, and this is our Season 2 review. So before we go into talking about Season 3, let's do a quick fire questions about our favorite episode and our least favorite episode. So, Vickie, what was your favorite episode of Season 2?
Well, I can tell you my least favorite episode. No kidding. I would have to say Trilogy of Terror was one of my favorite episodes just because it was I don't know if you can hear that, but that little patting of the feet.
That patting of the feet.
The little
Oh, you mean the little, you mean
the Zuzu Dowers.
Okay, so it's like,
yeah. I got more of that than the
the dude with the teeth and the whatever, but I can't say that because it's politically incorrect. But yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes, and the reason why I like that so much is because they had supposedly cut it. My dog just pissed on my leg. Seriously.
No, oh God, yes, you're a little distracted.
Go away.
Some people have to pay for that.
I can't believe that just happened.
Oh, admit it.
I'm trying to concentrate. Yeah,
Vickie, you're a golden girl.
I really do try to get through this. I mean, I've had to do this like yesterday, and it's just like one of those things. Like, oh my God. Okay. Where was I?
We were talking about your favorite podcast, your favorite show that we covered this year.
Okay, it was Trilogy of Terror and Sleepaway Camp. Oh, I can't have two, right?
Yeah. You can have two if you want. What was your least favorite?
My least favorite would probably be Sleepaway Camp.
That was your least. That was your favorite and least favorite?
Well, it was my favorite, least favorite, just because it was so bad and so good at the same time. I mean, okay, think about shorts back in the day. Being a person of the 80s, a child or whatever, what you want to call us, we had these certain shorts that were like gym shorts.
Yeah.
And then they had the half tank tops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it was just stuff like that. I mean,
I think they should bring shorts back that tight because if I'm gonna date a guy, it's good to know what religion they are before you date them.
It's not like that, but I mean, okay, I'm going to say it, people. You know what an advocate of the 80s I am, but the fashions of the 80s, it was totally gay, and I don't mean that in the bad sense. It was just terrible. We did not know how to dress.
Like expressive, like your body was more expressed, and I think we became a little bit more conservative, and then now it's sort of back to expression, but now it's sort of a weird baggy expression. There's a lot of like,
well, I love baggy
things are wearing baggy trends are like overly baggy sweaters and pants, and like
on the other hand,
baggy.
Well, then again,
I'll take the skimpy versus the baggy any day.
Well, no, I'm just saying, it's contemplating trying to. My daughter always says, "Well, y'all think you got it going on in the '80s?" It's like, well, I look at how they dress, and I look at how we dress. It's not even totally that much different, but it's still pretty bad.
Well, was it also because we had a lot of different episodes where, you know, Hitchcock, for example, a lot of the episodes, the fashion was very high end. It was very more.
Oh my God, the pillbox hats from the 60s, like
yeah.
they looked like a pillbox. It was the Jackie O genre situation going on, and you know, she was fantastic. She really was. God love her. But could you equivocate that into the 90s, the 2000s? No.
I think the 80s, yes, because you had the big shoulder pads and you had the women.
Oh my
had
God, the big
suits.
shoulder pads.
Yeah. I mean, look at again, Dress to Kill. I mean, that was whole like power suits and these.
You know, the only thing I remember watching Dress to Kill with Angie Dickinson on HBO, and that was like in the 80s when it first came out, and it was like the first soft porn movie I've probably seen on cable TV. And the reason I remember that is like I just couldn't believe she was getting it on the back of a taxi.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That freaked me out. We didn't see that stuff back then. Even you, Keith.
No, that's because I was living that stuff back then.
He's like, finally, they're showing my story.
Yeah, except it was me in the back of an Amish wagon.
That's not funny. We have Amish.
Wait, you were in The Witch? Hold
on. What about yourself, John? What's your favorite and least favorite episodes?
My favorite, I mean, the double hitter that we did with The Girl Next Door and American Crime. I do have to say that was one of my favorite. It was because it was just so emotional, and it was just something that I have a thing for being able to like talk about a story about something that needs to be brought back up, and talking about Sylvia and that to me is like an important thing, because I've had someone
that story has been lost by the wayside all these years later, because it's something I never heard of, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why us doing it brings it back to the surface again, because these types of stories, you know, I had a friend who was murdered, and recently they caught the person who did this, and so you kind of lose hope, or I'm sure the family kind of loses some sort of, now she's in the past, right? And it's faded into the past. And when we bring something like this up again, it's either opening a wound for some, but it could also be like, wow, you know, they're shedding light on this story, and they're kind of breathing new life into her again, you know, and they're kind of keeping her alive again for us, you know. And I think that was such a poignant one for me. And then least favorite, I would say, I'm gonna have to say The Lady Vanishes. It was just not one for me that I just didn't. With Hitchcock,
I knew you didn't like it. I could tell you were just into it.
It was just one that, again, it was, to me, it was a little. It
was old. It was antiquated.
It was slow. I mean, there's pacing to it. There's pacing issues to it for me, and it just wasn't something that I even. I can always tell a good story is when I can remember the full thing, or they can remember all of the characters in it. This one, it's forgettable. There's things that are about her that are forgettable for me, and that I'm trying to remember. I remember there's, you know, the train, and them trying to, like, you know, that whole is it Mistaken Identity? No, it's not Mistaken Identity. The spy, you know, who gets put on the train, like, so it's like forgettable for me, and so it's like, for me, like, if it's forgettable, to me, it wasn't a really good story, you know?
I mean, for me, my favorite was The Girl Next Door and American Crime, only because Yeah, I quite like that people have reacted to it quite well as well. And I found that was quite easy to do. The research is quite good on that. The worst episode I found was, and this has nothing to do with the films, but I think it's Life of Brian and Sade, because I found when we do comedy, it's really hard
Oh my God.
to put that across in a podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me. That was a really hard episode to talk about, because it's kind of funny, because he's like, oh, do you remember the ha 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 sort of thing, and then when you
can't do it
but then
without.
you kind of retell what you think is funny, and it becomes that you have to be there kind of moments, like you have that friend who's always like cutting jokes, and you're like having coffee with them, and they're always telling these funny things
Right.
about themselves, and they're never that funny because they're telling you because you weren't there. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that.
or it's like, you like, I always like I quote Golden Girls like left, right, and center, and I can't help it. But for those who've never seen it, it's like, okay, I don't get the joke. Like, it's not funny unless you've watched it and you're like, oh my God, I remember that too. It's like, yeah.
And I think that, I mean, the thing is, I think it went better. I think the Mel Brooks one was a little bit easier, only because we did have the Alfred Hitchcock things to trade off of on. And I think that Vickie and I did learn our lessons a little bit from the Life of Brian and Say, so we're able to put through what was funny a little better in the Blazing Saddles one.
It's hard though, because
but it was difficult.
what you find funny and what I find funny is going to be two different things, and you can't really, unless you're on like maybe a video camera, you can't voice or pivot that unless you see the expression of the other person. So that is hard to do on a podcast. It really is.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is going to cut to a commercial break. We'll be back after a word from our sponsor. Hello, welcome back. So let's discuss what we got planned for season 3. Season 3 is going to be quite different. John is going to be with us for one show per month because
Because he's a lame motherfucker.
No, I'm actually
alive. He found himself a life.
No, it's like, and I have to say that I'm really tired of working with these students. No, I have to say that it is very difficult to step away and be a temporary co-host to this, because it's been an amazing 2 years. I don't
You
think
always
people
have
realize,
a seat here, sweetie.
I don't think people realize how much heart and work that Keith puts into this show. And when he asked me to little did anyone know that you go onto a video game and you play and you meet someone who invites you to this amazing opportunity, how much it actually really goes into it. And I don't think even I truly know everything that Keith does, but I will just say that Keith is the inception of this. He is the carer of this. He's the editor of this. He is the person who puts it up on here. So I just show up and I'm a part of this. And I can't thank Keith enough for this experience and for giving me an opportunity to just have fun and to have an opportunity to experience the things that I love, which is films and novels, and to be able to talk about them.
You can't leave us. I wouldn't let you.
I'm not going far, and I'm not, and I will definitely be here for the double play episodes here, and it's one of these.
I'm telling you, I'm going to hunt you down. I know New York.
It's very difficult for me to step away, but as Keith knows, and Vickie knows, that I've had some personal things happen. I think everything happens in life, and it makes you reevaluate sort of trajectory. And career-wise, I'm definitely looking to work on my own projects
waiting for you, sweetheart.
Be closer to my family as well, because my family is very important to me, as I'm sure is to you. Well, Vickie, not Keith. Just kidding. But yeah, it's just something that I'm very happy to be a part of, and I'm still here. I'm not that far away, and yeah.
Yeah, so John will be doing our 2-for-1 episodes. This will always be the second week of each month. And we got some wonderful films lined up. So what that's done is actually opened up a little bit of space to introduce some of our guest our guest co-hosts are actually new co-hosts, and these new co-hosts will be with us for the next season 3. They might continue on for season 4 and 5. We'll have to wait and see how much hell we put them through and see how much they can do.
Right?
But what we're going to be doing, our book to screen theme this year, because normally we don't have a theme for book to screen, but we decided to try something different. As you know, we're always trying something different, and as you will see when season 4 comes around, which we won't discuss now, but we'll be pushing this envelope even further. So what we're doing is pushing the envelope. We're doing Edgar Allan Poe. So we're reading the short stories of Edgar Allan Poe and comparing it to the film adaptation. We'll be doing a lot of Vincent Price and a lot of Roger Corman because they seem to do a lot of these films. And we're going to be joined by the grandniece or the great grandniece of Lon Chaney Jr., Nez. And Nez is a personal friend of Vickie and myself. When we used to have the agency, the Media Bitch Literary Agency, she did some work with us for that, and she's coming on board for that. The other thing we're doing is European horror. So we're replacing Alfred Hitchcock with European horror, and we're going to be dealing with films across the European horror. Now, we're not dealing with anything from the UK. This is going to be main country Europe. Of course, one reason why we're not doing the part of the UK is because it's called Brexit, and the UK has left the EU. Just kidding, folks. But and then in that we're going to have Will Millar. Now, Will Millar has been a guest co-host on a number of episodes in the past, and he will be joining us as a permanent co-host for the European horror.
And I can honestly say I love Will. He's fantastic.
And Will Millar, if you're familiar with him, he is a writer. He was one of our authors at the Media Bitch Literary Agency, and he is a strong person who loves European horror, so he'll be quite an asset for that. Another thing that Will is also into psychic and fortune telling as well, and he owns a shop there in Utah.
And I can honestly say he's the real deal. Hook up with him.
So what we'll do is we'll be advertising some of Will's wares and ways that you can find him. And I believe he does do some online tarot readings as well. So we'll have some more information in season 3 about that. And of course, we got Tom Diamond, and we'll be continuing our Dark Shadows foray. We'll be going, and I would say that we'll be doing 1 episode for Dark Shadows, and basically we're doing 1 month of Dark Shadows episodes per month. So of course, we'll start with September 1966 episodes moving forward, but just remember in a couple months, November, February, and May, we will have 2 Dark Shadows episodes to help fill out those 5-week months. As most of our listeners may know, we're no longer on PowerCast 97.9, and we've now picked up a speaker and Deezer. So you can find us on those, but unfortunately, we have now parted ways with PowerCast 97.9. So, Vickie, what are you excited about season 3? Anything that you're looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to the Dark Shadow stuff and all the other whatever you got me doing. I have no clue, guys. I have to read emails, okay?
Or you can go onto our website and you can see season 3 is up there right now.
Yeah, go to our website. For some reason, Vickie always forgets that we have a website.
Shut up. I don't ever, you know what? I really don't like listening to my voice on the podcast. So most of the time, I never listen to my own podcast. And a lot of the times, I normally don't look for my own research other than what I need to see for myself. So,
well, now you know what it's like when I edit your voice.
Fuck off, bitch.
And what about yourself, John? What are you looking for season 3?
I was just looking at, I love Longtime Companion, one of my favorite films. I'm looking forward to
exploring that. That is such a sad movie.
It is. It's such a sad movie, but it's a great story. I love that movie.
I was like, why is Keith wanting to do such sad movies? But I understand the notion.
The overall theme.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
Last House on the Left and Big Driver. Big Driver is a huge favorite of mine. It's Stephen King. I'm a big King fan, so can't wait for us to explore that. I've never seen.
Does it?
Oh, it's coming. It too is coming.
You know what? I waited all the way until 2 weeks ago to watch the first thing of it, like the new one. And
just to be caught up on it.
God, I waited because I would have been so pissed if I watched it 2 years ago and realized how I'd have to wait to see the outcome, even though you know what it's going to be, basically, but still.
I mean, for those who haven't read it, I mean, I know where it's going, but yeah.
It is like the true part to the novel. I mean, it's okay. We all like the TV series that they did.
I actually didn't like the TV miniseries at all.
It was okay. It was just a little
because I saw what I was missing, and then I had to go back and reread the novel "It" by Stephen King, and it just keeps so much more true to the novel. And I love Tim Curry as Pennywise. I do. But this clown is so much more fucked up.
Yeah, he's more menacing. Also, I can't wait for us to do Westworld and Shawshank.
Oh my
Redemption.
God, Westworld!
Westworld. I'm curious. I've never seen the movie. I've seen the series. I'm dying to see season 3 of the series. Huh?
With Yul Brynner, the original Westworld?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about the series?
The original, yeah. But I can't wait for the series to come back too.
Oh my God, they are going to do another season.
Yeah, the trailer came out and it looks really crazy.
I didn't see the trailer. Oh my God, yeah.
It looks really, really good. Looper, the Night of the Hunter, that actually looks really, really good.
So see, people, I am organized. I like everything that they like. So.
Myself, I'm actually quite interested in, I'm diving into Edgar Allan Poe. I've read some of his short stories, but I'm not a big connoisseur. I mean, I've seen some of the films, but when I was putting together the Edgar Allan Poes, I was like finding some like interesting films as well. And, things like Telltale from 2009, which deals with Telltale Heart, starring Lena Headey from Game of Thrones, and Josh Lucas and Brian Cox, and produced by Tony and Ridley Scott, which is the only film that they produced together. So I'm quite interested in seeing that. But I'd be quite interested in just diving into the whole Edgar Allan Poe. And I am a huge fan of European horror, and I'm looking so much forward to. We got a lot of guests coming on, a lot of directors, a lot of people in the film business coming on who have actually commenting on us, who have actually contacted us, me not contacted them, to join in on the European horror front. So I'm very excited to be sharing some of these films, of those as well. And the 2-for-1s, I think that we got quite an interesting mix of films that are kind of out of the box. And we do have Ari Aster coming on to discuss Hereditary. And
yes, I can't wait for that. That's going to be great.
That's going to be quite interesting. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to season 3. Sorry, I was so excited about season 3 that when I finally went up and we got to this past month of season 2, I got to the point where it's like, I'm over season 2. I'm ready to move on to season 3, which sometimes.
Well, it's not that we were too tired with it. It's just like, boy, it is going to be something to move on to. Yeah. And we're kind of excited about that. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And another good thing is that we're changing our recording schedule, which is going to be fine. So, which means that we're going to do our Edgar Allan Poes and our Dark Shadows on a Friday after I get off from work. So that means I'm going to have 2 full weekends a month. Yay! So that's actually good. So actually we'll be able to like edit everything on a Friday night, and then Saturday and Sunday just watch trashy television. And so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, we do have a lot of great things coming up to you with season 3. I would suggest that everyone do join in with www.llpodcast.com and join the subscriber list. Our subscriber list is now reached 200,000 plus.
We don't know where y'all are coming from, but yeah, we like it.
Keep coming. Keep sending them our way.
Oh, and another special thing that's going to be happening in season 3 for some reason we got a lot of people in Spain and Latin America have been picking up our podcast, and thank you for that. Hola all you. And we'll be doing Dark Shadows in Spanish, and those Spanish episodes will be coming your way and starting in October.
Nice.
So who did anyone want to close this out, or shall I close this out?
I think y'all do it a whole lot better than I can.
I'm more than happy to. It truly has been an honor to celebrate yet another podtastic year we have built for our listeners. A special thank you to all of our guest hosts who have joined us this year. If you ever want to take a trip down memory lane, head on over to our website at llpodcast.com to listen to all of our past episodes, find all of our social and podcast platforms, sign up to our monthly newsletter, and read our reviews of books to screens and everything in between. We also will have highlights of what's to come for season 3. After all, who doesn't like a good spoiler? As always, we'd like to thank you for downloading, liking, and sharing the Literary License Podcast. Season 2, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Bye.
What does season 3 have in form for us?
We'll soon find out.
I know, but
Please don't let her call on me today, please. Mentally, I'm begging on my knees, please. Please, and I'll do anything you say. Only please don't let her call on me today. She's gonna ask for something on Edgar Allan Poe. I know it, I just know that any moment now she's gonna call on me and ask me something I don't know. On Edgar Allan
Poe, Edgar Allan, American poet, born in 1809. He wrote Cock Robin and My Darling Clementine, published Tamburlaine in 1827.
If you're listening, heaven, heaven, help me, help me. She's gonna ask for something on Edgar Allan Poe. Please don't let her call on me today. I know it, I just know that any moment now she's gonna call on me and ask me something I don't know. Please, and I'll do anything you say, please. Don't let the world find out what I don't know about Edgar Allan.
Poe, Edgar Allan, stories and essays, wrote the history of Marie Roget, Hiawatha and the road to Mandalay, joined the army in the spring of 27.
Are you listening, heaven?
Dickens' Christmas Carol.
Help me! She's gonna ask for something on Edgar Allan Poe. Please don't let her catch my eye. Any moment now she's gonna call on me and ask me something I don't know. If she calls on me today, I'll die, die. Don't let the world find out what I don't know about. Please, Edgar Allan.
Poe, Edgar Allan got out of the army, married Miss Virginia Clem. He wrote Black Sambo at Columbia, the gem of the ocean, died in 1849.
Tomorrow I'll be fine.
Sweet Adeline.
She's gonna ask for something on Edgar Allan Poe.
He invented automatic
I know it, I just know that any moment now she's gonna call on me and ask me something that she knows
Robinson
I don't
Crusoe
know.
and
She knows that I don't know. Don't let the world find out what I don't know about. Let's make the world get out what we don't know about Edgar Allan. What? Yes, ma'am. The answer's 5. 8? 83? How'd it be if I spelled Mississippi?